Hello everyone and welcome to my first video on the Roblox game Baltic Sea Simulator. I know this is not Dynamic Ship Simulator 3 like you are all so used to seeing, and I'll speak a bit more on that near the end of the video. But today I'm playing Baltic Sea Simulator and I am quite excited. I have never played this game before, but I've certainly heard and seen good things about it. Today I'm going in blind though, so I look forward to figuring this game out and seeing all that it has to offer. So as you can see, I'm in the menu right now, and if you look down at the bottom, you can see I have $0, 0 distance points. I've made 0 progress on this game, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, I do assume I have to go into the shipyard to buy a ship, and it looks like there's a bunch of different categories you can see for the different shipping companies. It does look like there's a decent amount of ships available, I think. Yeah, this is pretty nice. A lot of Viking ships. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know a whole ton about shipping on the Baltic Sea, so I'm hoping I can learn a bit about that while I play this game, but I think I can buy my first starter ship in this starter category for, looks like $0 right there, Capella. So let's go ahead and do that. 15 knots, and I'm just gonna go ahead and hit use. So it says I have it selected, so I think I'm gonna hit sail and probably choose a port. Doesn't seem that there's any images right now. This game is in alpha, and I'll talk a bit more about that in just a bit, but I'm just gonna go ahead and select a random port. Let's go ahead and spawn at Stockholm. I think that sounds good. I'm excited, I really am. Oh, and there we go. This game does look really nice, and the ship models too also look very nice, and that's something I've definitely noticed from looking at screenshots of this game before I came and played. So it does look like I need to turn on my engine. I guess it's not E. Oh, it's T. Okay, there we go. Oh no, that's my alarm. Hold on. Is there a controls thing somewhere around here? Oh yeah, down here, there's a controls thing, so let's see. Looks like the engine is Y, so let's go ahead and do that. Oh, and there we go, you can see it's yellow. I assume it'll turn green. Yep, there we go, and we are on. Let's go ahead and look at some of these other controls. You got lights, spotlights, which sounds cool. Thrusters, of course, WASD for driving. So I think it is becoming nighttime, so let's go ahead and turn on some lights here. Look at that, that's beautiful. It looks like we also have some camera options. Let's see this. Oh yeah, so look at that. I'm on the left wing now. I can go to right wing, the mast up top here, stern, and bridge front, so a very direct front view, which is nice. And I think if you hit reset, yeah, we can just go and kind of pivot around the ship. So you cannot play as your Roblox character in this game. You are the ship in this game, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and close that menu. Now, to be honest, I don't 100% know where I'm going, because obviously I've never played this game before, but I did spawn at Stockholm, and it looks like the port is probably this way, so I think that's where I'm going to go ahead and try and go over to. It does seem that there are a ton of ports in this game, if you can just see all of the names hovering above them, so I think this is probably quite a big map. But let me go ahead and get turned around here, and we can head over to Stockholm. Or I guess Stockholm seems to be the island, maybe. Or maybe there's subports within Stockholm. I don't think it's really an island, but I think there's probably seems to be multiple ports within Stockholm, which is pretty nice. As I said, I'm not really familiar with this geographic area on Earth, so I'm sure a lot of people are going to be making fun of me for this, and just my lack of knowledge about the ships and landmarks in this area, but I will try my best to not embarrass myself entirely. Now, one thing that I did hear about this game is this engine throttle / fuel consumption thing down here in the bottom right. As you can see, I'm at 100% throttle right now, but if I go down a bit, you can kind of see it's like a darker orange in like the high 80s and a bit of a lighter orange down lower. And so that's actually your fuel consumption. And so you'll use less fuel at a lower throttle and more fuel at like max throttle or higher up, which I think is a really cool way of going about it. Obviously it's realistic to real life, and so I think that's a really interesting gameplay loop that they added, and I think it is definitely something that is really cool. It's definitely not something that I've seen many other games do. Now, to be completely honest, I really don't know where I'm going. I might try and dock over by these blue cranes and see if I can get something to come up here. If not, then maybe I'll go a bit further down into port, but we'll see. I'm sure it definitely would have been a bit nicer to do this at daytime for my first ever time docking, but let's hope this can go well. So I'm just gonna pull in here kind of slowly. I don't want to wreck or anything, certainly. I think it may take me a bit of time to get used to like the deceleration and acceleration like speeds, because it's not really something that a game like Dynamic Ship Simulator 3 has, because you can control it very easily in that game. I think I'm actually coming in way too fast here. There is reverse. Let's go ahead and see if we can put that to use. I'm probably going to overshoot this a bit, but I don't think it'll be absolutely horrible. Okay, we're almost slowed down completely here. Let's go ahead and put this at 0% throttle. I don't know exactly how much it matters 100% where you're lined up, but we'll see. Like I said, this is my first time for everything. I've got to learn this all. It's one big learning curve for sure. Now I do know that to manage your cargo and everything, you go ahead and hit this phone down here. Let's see, so do I hit this maybe? Okay, so I can refuel here, so maybe this is a fuel area. I'm not sure I can do anything here. Maybe I'll turn my engine off and that'll do something. Okay, so I have been informed that there was a tutorial in the menu, which I missed on accident, and I probably should have done that first, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. So let me go ahead and go back to the menu, and we'll get that sorted out there. Okay, so I did just finish watching the tutorial video, and it seems I was almost there. I almost got it right, I just didn't go to quite the right area. I am at a different port this time. It is the one that they showed in the tutorial, so hopefully it'll be a bit easier for me to find where I'm supposed to actually be going. But I'm thinking pretty soon we can get this all going. Okay, I do believe that I know where I'm supposed to be going, but it's a small port, so even if I don't, I'm sure I'll be able to figure it out relatively easily. So from what I saw in the tutorial, it seems that any place there's a ramp is somewhere that you can load cargo from. And I'm pretty sure I'm pulling into one right now, but I think there's also another one on the other side and maybe two more a little further into the port. Maybe even another one over by those blue cranes. I'm gonna see if I can dock around here. I don't think I'm necessarily facing the right direction here, but hopefully it's good enough. So let's go to cargo, and yeah, there we go. We can hit the dock button and then load cargo. Oh, I have to select a destination first. Let's see what's around here. Let's go in that direction. Helsinki? I'm sure I said that wrong again. I don't know how to pronounce all these names 100% correctly, but let's go ahead and try to do that. So I guess we hit this undock button down here, and now we're good to go. So as you can see, there's now even cars down on the car deck, which is pretty nice. So let's undock and get started on this journey. And you know what I've just realized as I start to look a bit around? I think I'm actually surrounded by land right now, so I don't think the way I was planning on going is gonna work out. I'm guessing I'm probably supposed to go ahead and go through this canal, and maybe that'll lead me out to some open waters. So let's go ahead and do a quick 180 and head out that way, and hopefully things will go a bit better in that direction. Future me here, what I failed to realize here is that I actually was not surrounded by land there, but rather I had just misinterpreted the terrain due to it being dark and my lack of knowledge about the map. So I ended up going the complete opposite way, hoping that I would eventually find a route that would loop me back around towards my port, but of course I never did. And once I realized that I wouldn't have enough fuel to actually continue on, I decided to scrap this trip, which was of course the right choice. But that's what you're seeing now, and in just a second I'll be switching to a new route, which this time was actually a success. So something that I've just now realized as I've spawned back in is that what I saw at night, this brown line here in the water, is not mountains. That's actually just where a different watercolor starts, and at night I had interpreted that as being mountains that I could not go through, but I realize now that I definitely could, and I probably could have very easily completed that trip, but again, I'm not familiar with this map, and I made that mistake of going all the way in that direction. So while I do think that I could probably make that trip properly this time with the amount of fuel that I have left, I think I'm just going to go ahead and do a shorter route this time around, because ultimately I don't have a ton of fuel left, and because I don't know all these distances properly, I don't want to really risk anything, and I think it'd just be a good idea to get at least one trip under my belt here. So I have gone ahead and loaded up myself with some more cargo, and I'm headed for Tallinn or Tallinn. I'm sorry, again, I don't know how to pronounce the names. Hopefully someday I can learn at least most of them, but for now I think you guys might just have to bear with me for a little bit. And as you can see, there is another ship over there in the distance. To be honest, I don't really know what my goal for this episode is. I think probably just to buy at least the ship above this one. I really didn't actually look at the ships in the menu before jumping into this, so I don't know which ship is above this one, but maybe I'll go ahead and take a look at those once I'm done with this trip. It does look like some weather has rolled in, but before my visibility went down a bit because of it, I did see that there's at least 2 ships over here in this port, so definitely a high traffic area it seems. Hopefully the visibility isn't too bad once I'm inside of the port itself. So I'm pulling into the port now, and I am looking for where exactly I'm supposed to go. I'm going to keep heading over in this general direction, and hopefully I'll see a ramp of some sorts. I am guessing that's where I'm supposed to go. It does seem like there's a decent amount of stuff over there. So I'm pulling into the main port area now, and I think I can finally see where I'm able to go and complete this cargo trip. I think I can see multiple ramps. There's one there. I believe there's 2 here. I'm sure there's some others further back, but it's a bit relieving to finally be at another port to complete this cargo trip. I know in the video it hasn't been all that long, but I did spend like at least half an hour or so on that first trip that I had to scrap, so it's definitely nice to be here. Again though, that first trip failing was just due to my lack of knowledge when it comes to the map. But we made it here eventually, and that's all that matters. So I've gone ahead and gotten us docked here, so let's go over to the phone, press dock, and unload cargo. There we go, $170,000. 39 distance points, pretty nice. I was unsure how much money I would get for that, and 170,000 does seem like a decent amount, but to be fair, I don't know how much the other ships cost, so it could be nothing. But let's go ahead and take a look in the menu for some other ships that I could maybe aim for in the future. So let's go ahead and go over to the shipyard, and we do have to venture out of this starter category. Let's see if we can find something over here. Okay, so I did find what I believe is the next cheapest ship in the game, of course, after the starter ships, which are free, and that is the Regal Star for $1.5 million. It does go 3 knots faster than my starter ship as well, which is a nice speed increase. But it does seem that I have quite a few trips ahead of me before I will be able to afford that. So let's go ahead and get started. Now I figured I'd take this time with a time lapse in the background to explain just what Baltic Sea Simulator is, as I'm sure many of you are used to seeing me play DSS3. Baltic Sea Simulator is a game developed by Baltic Studios, and as the name suggests, is a game focused around shipping on the Baltic Sea, specifically ferries, cruise ferries, and ro-ro ships. It was released less than 4 months ago and is currently in alpha and can be purchased for 80 Robux. Of course, this means there is still a lot coming in the future. I also figure now is a good time to address why I'm making a video on a game besides DSS3 in the first place. But before that, I would like to say up front that I will not stop making videos on DSS3. However, after almost 4 years of making solely DSS3 videos, I do think that bringing another game into the picture could be nice just to add a bit of variety into the content that I make. I hope I can expose more DSS3 players to BSS and vice versa. They're different games, but I do think that the different player bases could appreciate each other. And videos on Baltic Sea Simulator are much easier to make compared to DSS3, which is a game that quite frankly rarely updates, which leaves me to try and think of new ideas. And while I don't necessarily mind this, it does mean that the videos typically take a while to make. For a game like Baltic Sea Simulator, I imagine I will be able to make videos quite a bit faster because I can record myself simply playing the game, which is something I was never able to do with DSS3 as I've already gotten everything there is to get. So I do hope you can all understand this and are excited to see more videos on the game, because I do plan on making more. Going back to the time lapse, here you can really just see me exploring the map, and at this point taking some of the longer routes, going to places like Capellshire and Visby. There's definitely a couple places though that I would like to save for future videos, either because they seem quite big and exciting to explore, or they seem difficult to navigate. But one thing I really love about this game is that the map really feels huge. There is a great sense of scale, and you truly get the feeling of being a small ship in a big sea. There's definitely shorter routes that you can take, but many of them can take quite a bit of time to complete. And the map in a lot of places isn't the most forgiving. I think it really depends on the individual person whether you like it or not, but for me personally, I enjoy the challenge, and I think that the unforgiving terrain is something a lot of shipping games sometimes steer away from. So if you've got 80 Robux to spare and you would be interested in a bit more of a hardcore shipping game, I would definitely recommend Baltic Sea Simulator. But it does seem that I am just about ready to buy the next ship, Regal Star. So now with a bit over $1.5 million, I do now have enough money to go ahead and buy the Regal Star. So let me go ahead and do that, and there we go, I now own it. While I'm going to save most of the grinding with the ship for the next video, I am going to go ahead and do at least one trip with this just to kind of get a feel for it and check it out before the video ends. I think it's only right that I do the first trip that I started with all the way at the beginning of this video, from Hanko to Tallinn. So here I am spawned in now, and this does seem to to be a quite cool ship in my opinion. I really like the long car deck, especially how it goes into the superstructure. I like the detail, and there's even some nice wooden benches on the side which are cool. But definitely one of the coolest things about this ship, and something that not every ship has, is its interior. This ship does have a modeled bridge, and it is really cool. You of course have all of the different controls in the center, but then you even have things like a couch on the starboard side. On the walls you can find a diagram of the ship and also a plaque for the ship's registration. This ship is really quite cool, and I think I'm gonna enjoy using it a lot. So I'm all loaded up with cargo now and on the way to Tallinn, which I've realized is actually the ship's port of registry. It's not a super important detail, but I did think it was kinda cool. And you can see that the car deck is now entirely filled primarily with trucks this time. So sit back and enjoy the final trip in today's video. So I've arrived at Tallinn now, and I'm about to unload cargo, and I'm curious to see how much money I'll get. Okay, so wow, I got almost double what I got with the Capella. With the Capella, I got 170,000 for doing this trip, and now doing the same route, I got 322,000 with the Regal Star. And of course, I would have even done it a bit faster because there is a 3-knot speed increase with the Regal Star. So I would say that was definitely a pretty good upgrade. Thank you all very much for watching my first video on Baltic Sea Simulator, and let me know down in the comments what you thought about it. Hopefully the next videos can be a bit more exciting now that I know the basics. And again, I will still continue to make videos on DSS3. If you did enjoy, a like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated, but until next time, I will see you all later. Bye.